The News Watch never stops. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Good evening. It's 64 degrees at 8:40. I'm Suzanne Colucci, and here's what's happening. Residents of the Mitchell houses are stunned and grateful to be alive tonight after a partial building collapse that vaporized part of a high-rise, hundreds of tenants. Remarkably, no one was hurt. The feds are now freezing funds for two mass transit projects, the Gateway Tunnel under the Hudson and the expanded 2nd Avenue subway. In the race for New York City mayor, the candidates have launched their first TV spots, spending big bucks going after each other. No bail for an alleged gang member deemed a risk to the community after his arrest following a mass shooting in Brooklyn. No need to wait until Friday for the debut of Taylor Swift's Life of a Showgirl, a pop-up event celebrating the new album is happening in Manhattan. Sports, it's a must-win for the Yankees in Game 2 of the wild card playoffs happening right now in the Bronx. Wins news time, 8:41. Let's get you where you need to go. Here's Kelly Dillon.
We have a mess on the westbound side of the Jackie Robinson Parkway in Queens, right past Metropolitan Avenue. A new accident here knocking out at least a lane. Traffic's at a standstill. Here's what we see on Long Island's Big 3. Westbound the southern state is crowded at exit 28 in Wantagh with a crash in the right lane still. Bumper to bumper both ways into that spot. So if you can, Sunrise Highway, it is better. Not looking too bad tonight along the LIE or the northern state. In Midtown, we are moving fine on both the West Side Highway and the FDR Drive. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. A quiet ride across the George now, both ways, the upper and lower decks moving fine. No trouble along the Lincoln or Holland. The Brooklyn-bound Brooklyn Bridge, it is slow. In Jersey, the southbound Garden State Parkway, pick it up at exit 143 in Irvington as construction takes out one lane. Kelly Dillon, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
To see the video, it's stunning to think no one was hurt in today's NYCHA building collapse in Mott Haven. From top to bottom, a huge slice of a 20-story building just gave way, crumbling to a pile of rubble with a playground right below. This happened at the Mitchell houses just after 8 a.m. Mayor Adams speaking at the scene.
There was a partial building infrastructure collapse. Due to what seems in preliminary investigations, there was some type of explosion.
It's believed that explosion happened in the boiler, causing the chimney to break apart, and an active investigation into a cause is happening right now, and the Red Cross is relocating nearly 100 people who can't go back in. Those who are inside right now have no heat or hot water.
Ana Navarro was getting ready for her day when she heard the boom and felt her apartment shake.
By the second explosion, I was already getting dressed, getting mom ready, and we came out. The fire department had shut down the elevator. I had to carry her down the stairs.
Anthony Vereen was dropping his son off at an elementary school across the street.
And I was driving, and I seen a big plume of smoke. I said, oh, it's a fire there, you know.
He said it was a miracle no one was killed.
Unbelievable. And it was at 8 o'clock with kids and families going to work.
The collapse left a giant pile of bricks that firefighters searched before giving the all clear. Marla Diamond, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Mott Haven, the Bronx.
Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg announcing an indictment for a rental scam that defrauded multiple victims out of thousands of dollars. Juan Valoy allegedly stole $25,000 from prospective renters. He's now facing grand larceny charges. Bragg says Valoy preyed on New Yorkers looking for stable, affordable homes, taking their money and leaving them with nothing. Court documents show this happened from March to July, with Valoy posing as a real estate broker to attract prospective renters through Facebook Marketplace. It's day one of the government shutdown, and both Republicans and Democratic leaders are in a stalemate over how to move forward. Right now, there is no easy endgame in sight.
Vice President J.D. Vance is warning about the potential layoffs of federal employees as the shutdown continues.
If this thing drags on for another few days or, God forbid, another few weeks, we are going to have to lay people off. We're going to have to save money in some places so the essential services don't get turned off in other places.
The Senate failed to advance a short-term spending bill again Wednesday morning, despite the support of a couple of Democrats. Democratic leaders say they're standing firm that a negotiation has to address their concerns over health care cuts and extending enhanced health care tax credits under the Affordable Care Act.
And that was correspondent Natalie Brand. With the shutdown now a reality, both sides are playing the blame game. Here's House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
The Republican healthcare crisis is immoral in nature, and Democrats are fighting hard to reverse it. Cancel the cuts, lower the costs, save healthcare on behalf of the American people.
Lawmakers have left for the night. They're out tomorrow for the Yom Kippur Jewish holiday. They're back on Friday, so right now it appears there won't be another vote before then to try to end this. United Healthcare is dropping dozens of Medicare Advantage plans next year. This will affect hundreds of thousands of people.
United Health says it will stop offering Medicare Advantage in 109 counties across the country, blaming higher costs with reimbursement pressure. The shift means it will exit more than 100 plans, affecting about 600,000 members. United Health says most plan closures will occur in rural areas where it's working to streamline operations. The government pays private insurers to operate the Medicare Advantage plans for those 65 and older or with disabilities, but United says government funding will have dropped in 2026 by about 20%.
That was correspondent Matt Piper. The move is expected to push those affected toward HMO plans instead, which require more referrals and limit members to specific networks of providers. A huge setback tonight for the Gateway Tunnel linking New York and New Jersey, and more, all coming from the Trump administration.
The White House is putting $18 billion of federal funding for New York infrastructure projects on hold, including the Hudson Tunnel project and the 2nd Avenue subway project. Budget Director Russ Vought said in a post on X it's to, quote, ensure funding is not flowing based on unconstitutional DEI principles, but he doesn't explain what that means. The move appears to be a way to put direct pressure on Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, a New Yorker, who pushed for that funding during the Biden administration and has called the Hudson Tunnel project his, quote, passion and a labor of love. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Some New Yorkers might disagree, but it seems this summer in New York was safer than it's been in a while.
Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch praised the effort that has kept crime down.
In the first 9 months of this year, citywide shooting incidents are down more than 20%, their lowest levels ever, shattering the previous record.
There are fewer murders and more guns are off the street, but the commissioner has a dire warning as severe cuts in federal counterterrorism funding loom.
To be blunt, this is the difference between a city that prevents the next attack and a city left exposed to it.
She says if carried out, the city will be a less safe place 6 months from now. Juliet Papa, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
A victory for State Attorney General Letitia James. Her office just announcing it's won an emergency court order with a federal judge temporarily blocking the Department of Homeland Security from diverting $33 million in security funds away from the MTA. Earlier today, the AG announced that her office was suing the Trump administration to restore that money, and she was not happy when she was speaking out.
After 9/11, I can think of no other state that is facing the risk than New York. So the question that you ask is, why did they zero it out?
The funds are also intended to improve transit security and evacuation systems. In the race for New York City mayor, the 3 candidates remaining are blanketing the airwaves with ads and going after each other. And today, Democratic nominee Zohran Mamdani also made a stop on ABC's The View, taking a swipe at Mayor Adams, who's now out of the race.
In hearing his words, the most extreme thing that I can think of are the policies that he's delivered to the city over 4 years. This is a mayor who raised the rent by 12% on 2 million people, who raised the water bill, highest it's been in 13 years.
Mamdani's first ad in the general election push is a 30-second spot focusing on his affordability platform. Andrew Cuomo released his own, calling it Day One, highlighting his experience and Mamdani's lack of it. And Republican nominee Curtis Sliwa released his own 30-second spot, attacking both of the candidates. Well, no bail for an alleged gang member deemed a risk to the community after his arrest following a mass shooting that killed 3 people at a Brooklyn hookah lounge over the summer.
Prosecutors say Eli Roy was one of multiple gang members responsible when 40 shots were fired in 6 seconds and 3 people were killed at the hookah lounge. And they say he's a flight risk after he cut his hair, changed his number, and went to North Carolina following the shooting. Roy's attorney tried to paint him as someone who didn't want to be associated with gangs and pushed for house arrest with an ankle monitor. Not enough for the judge, who says he poses a risk to the community. Roy was praying and making the sign of the cross during his arraignment. Mac Rosenberg, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Swifties in Manhattan get an early taste of Taylor's new album. We'll get to that first. Wins News Time 8:51. Let's get you where you need to go. Here's Kelly Dillon.
A mess in Queens on the westbound Jackie Robinson Parkway, right past Metropolitan Ave, with a crash that takes up at least a couple of lanes. So if you can skip that, the line E is better. The beat to be in Brooklyn, very slow both directions into Atlantic Avenue. The westbound Southern State at a standstill approaching exit 28 in Wantagh with a crash in that right lane. Sunrise Highway is looking much better. In Midtown, the West Side Highway and the FDR looking okay right now. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. No trouble across the George both ways. The upper and lower decks moving fine. No delays at the Lincoln or Holland either. Quiet again both ways on the Brooklyn Bridge. And a bit slow in Jersey on the southbound Garden State Parkway at exit 143 in Irvington with one lane of construction work set up. Kelly Dillon, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
Let's get a check of the AccuWeather forecast. Here's meteorologist Carl Erickson.
Well, after our brief cool down today into tomorrow, a big warm up on the way to round out the week and head into this weekend. It does turn out chilly tonight, though, with a clear sky, low 50 in the city, 40s across the northern and western suburbs. Sunshine and patchy clouds tomorrow, high 65. Partly cloudy tomorrow night, back down to 54. And very nice on Friday. Lots of sunshine, high 70, and even warmer on Saturday. Plenty of sunshine, high 79. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Carl Erickson on New York's weather station. 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Well, 1010 Wins is celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, a celebration of culture, but without one crucial ingredient, meat. Let's meet Chef Erica Munoz.
Erica Munoz is executive chef and owner of Madrina Vegana Taqueria in Astoria, where Mexican food meets vegan. She remembers when she made the switch.
After watching a documentary that was basically undercover, where they went into butcheries.
Transitioning from pop-ups to food truck and beyond, the chef celebrates by showing how vegan can be cruelty-free and very delicioso.
We have a taco, which is jackfruit. Jackfruit is marinated in guajillo sauce, which gives it a little bit of a spice.
You might call some of her patrons accidental vegans.
They realize, wait a minute, this is vegan?
Taking Viva Mexico into Viva Vegan, celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. I'm Mario Bosques for 1010 Wins.
Time now for Bloomberg Money Watch.
Stocks ended a little higher today, getting a lift from drug makers. There's optimism for more deals like the one Pfizer made with the White House to lower prescription drug prices for Medicaid recipients in exchange for a 3-year reprieve on import tariffs. The Dow today up 43 points at the close. The Nasdaq added 95. The S&P was up 23. And Walmart is coming clean. It plans to remove all synthetic dyes, artificial sweeteners, fat substitutes, and preservatives from its U.S. store brand foods by January of 2027.
I'm Tom Busby. Bloomberg Money Watch on 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
WINS FM in HD1 New York. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
AccuWeather says for tonight, clear and chilly. We're going down to 50 in the city, 40s in most of the northern and western suburbs. And tomorrow, cool day, lots of sun, though. A nice looking day, a high of 65 degrees, just not that warm. And then tomorrow night, chilly, back down to 54 again. More people get their news from 1010 Wins than from any other radio station in the nation. Tanya Mercado is at the editor's desk. I'm Suzanne Colucci.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM, New York.
64 degrees, clear skies at 9 o'clock. Good evening, I'm Leen Bajardi. Here's what's happening. Hundreds of residents in the Mitchell houses in the Bronx remain locked out of their homes after an explosion toppled a massive chimney at the top of their 17-story building. Another failed vote in the Senate means the federal shutdown continues as the Trump administration moves to withhold funding for the 2nd Avenue subway and Gateway Tunnel to New Jersey. NYPD Commissioner calls on Homeland Security to restore anti-terrorism funds as she touts record low crime in the city. 17-year-old driver arrested, now accused of deliberately striking 2 girls on bikes, killed in Cranford. Confirmation tonight that suspect is related to a local police chief. Broadway League responds to the Actors Equity Union, which is preparing to strike. Yankees hosting a must-win wild-card game against the Red Sox. Guardians and Padres tied up their best-of-3 series. Dodgers host the Reds a little later. AccuWeather says clear and chilly tonight. Low 50 in the city. 40s in most northern and western suburbs, and it is over in the Bronx. The Yankees have just defeated the Red Sox by a score of 4-3, so they live to play another day. This one is all tied up at a game apiece. Wins News Time, 9:01. Let's get you where you need to go with Kelly Dillon.
We are bumper to bumper tonight on the westbound Jackie Robinson Parkway in Queens, right past Metropolitan Avenue with a crash there, knocking out one lane. Pick it up on the northbound Van Wyck as well into Linden Boulevard. Reports of an accident here blocking a lane. Here's what we see on Long Island's Big Three. The Southern State westbound at exit 28 in Wantagh. That crash officially cleared up. Delays, they're easing out, and quiet still on the LIE and the Northern State. Not bad in Midtown on the West Side Highway or the FDR tonight. And here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. We've got no problems on the George. That is moving well both ways on the upper and lower levels. Also pretty quiet still at the Lincoln and Holland. In New Jersey, construction work now setting up on westbound 280 in Newark. Approaching exit 14 in the right lane, so that is now stop and go. Kelly Dillon, 1010 wins at 92.3 FM.
Stunning collapse at Nitsch's Mitchell houses in the Bronx, and it was caught on video. Bricks beginning to pull away from the top of the high-rise building before a massive boiler room chimney came tumbling down. Mayor Adams says the partial collapse forced the evacuation of that 17-story building.
Residents of the F and G lines in the building were evacuated, and other tenants can reoccupy the building at this time once we ensure the safety of the structure.
A gas explosion suspected for collapsing the incinerator shaft.
The explosion sent a cloud of dust billowing from a corner of the high-rise here on Alexander Avenue. Tina Mead had just left her building.
So I called everybody in my apartment, and I was like, the building just exploded, get out. And as I was talking to them, everything started falling.
Joey Reyes had left before the collapse and was trying to get back in.
Literally where the building collapsed, that's where my room is. I'm just nervous because my dog's in there. And I'm telling them if they could let me in so I could get them on.
A nearby community center took in some of the evacuees. Marla Diamond, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM in Mott Haven, the Bronx.
The Senate fails to pass a bill that would have reopened the federal government. 3 Democrats voted to approve it today. 1 Republican voted against it. The party's at odds over health care funding. Democrats want to negotiate on extending Affordable Care Act subsidies and reversing the Trump Medicaid cuts.
The White House is sending mixed messages about upcoming firings as a result of the government shutdown. Vice President Vance said no final decisions have been made.
If this thing drags on for another few days or, God forbid, another few weeks, we are going to have to lay people off.
But speaking in the same briefing, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said this on when layoffs could begin.
2 days, imminent, very soon. You will expect more announcements right now.
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries fed up with the impasse.
We've been here all week. Republicans are missing in action, nowhere to be found, on vacation, scattered across the country and the world, spewing lies and articulating the Democratic position, but they don't even have the guts to be on Capitol Hill and debate us face to face.
New York Democrats were rallying against the shutdown when word came in that the White House was putting a hold on money to fund the 2nd Avenue subway extension and the Gateway Tunnel under the Hudson. Trump Budget Director Russ Vought put a stop on $18 billion in approved money for the rail projects because he says the government shutdown will furlough the workers tasked with making sure the rail projects don't run afoul of Trump's demand to end diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Senator Schumer called the move stupid and counterproductive. Governor Hochul agrees.
They're trying to make culture wars be the reason. Why? Culture wars. Over the tens of thousands of jobs that we've created with these infrastructure projects that were literally talked about for decades, that we finally could get moving, create jobs and opportunity.
The Gateway Tunnel will keep Amtrak and New Jersey Transit trains moving from Penn Station to New Jersey and Point South. Democratic candidate for governor Mikey Sherrill says the president is punishing commuters and union workers. Sherrill adding she will fight the halt, while Republican candidate Chuck Ciattarelli will not stand up to the president. Ciattarelli's campaign says the blame lies on the Congresswoman and other Democrats for opposing the Republican spending package. NYPD commissioner touting record low crime in the city as President Trump threatens military intervention in urban areas led by Democrats.
Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch touted nearly 2 years of a continuing drop in crime and a third quarter reduction in shootings. And she says this summer was safer.
We took cops out of desk jobs and put them on high visibility footposts where and when they were needed most.
But then she turned to what she called profoundly bad news.
The federal government's decision to slash counterterrorism funding for the NYPD from 90 million down to nearly 10 million is a betrayal of this city.
She says those funds pay for bomb squad technicians, intelligence analysts, and heavy weapons patrols at high-profile events. Juliette Papa, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
A teenage driver arrested in connection with the hit-and-run deaths of 2 girls in Cranford, New Jersey. Police believe it was no accident.
A 17-year-old boy from Garwood, New Jersey, has been charged with 2 counts of murder. Police believe he deliberately ran over 2 17-year-old girls, Maria and Isabella, who were best friends, riding on a bike in Cranford Monday night. Katie holding back tears, bringing flowers to the memorial.
These 2 girls were innocent girls, and they had a whole life ahead of them.
Neighbors believe the 17-year-old boy in custody allegedly was stalking one of the girls for months.
Thank God that justice is going to be served.
Friends, family, and absolute strangers coming to this memorial to say prayers and lay flowers. Mary Lynn Buckley, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Cranford, New Jersey.
Westfield Police Chief Christopher Badaloro is breaking his silence about the incident tonight in a lengthy statement. Badaloro says despite online speculation, the teenager arrested is not his son. Though the chief goes on to say the suspect is a member of his extended family. Badaloro was not specific about how they're related. The Westfield chief, who lives in the Cranford neighborhood where the girls were killed, says he unequivocally condemns the actions of the accused and only kept his silence to allow the Union County prosecutor to conduct a complete investigation without interference. 64 degrees, going down to 50 in Midtown.